following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Arizona. Brother Mike is back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Thank you for tuning in today. Appreciate your listening to another unusual Bible study. Here it is. Today's Bible study, Pastoral Suicide. Another really sad one has occurred, and it should never have happened. Could have been prevented. I'll show you exactly how it can be prevented. Thank you for tuning in. This is Brother Mike. I'm a professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. I have been a counselor for 39 years. I've been on the radio for 19 years. If you go to the website, HardcoreChristianity.com, you'll see all of our ministry services. We're downtown on 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. It's the red brick building. We have 2 live services every week, Thursdays and Friday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Both those services are broadcast live on our YouTube teaching channel, youtube.com/House of Healing AZ. Also, it's broadcast live on Michael W. Smith, my Facebook page. When you go to the website, you can sign up for all of our free seminars. We have monthly seminars. We have seminars for women. I teach a deliverance and healing training class every month. It's the 4th Saturday of the month at noon in a small sanctuary. If you know somebody that needs to be delivered, they're too afraid to come for help, please send me an email, mike@hardcorechristianity.com, and I will send you the miracle list. It is a step-by-step guide on how to get delivered. It's free. One is for mentally ill Christians. The other one is for troubled Christians. Send me an email today, and I will send it to you today. We have a new ministry service. We have Zoom deliverance services. If you need prayer, you can get it on Zoom every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. One for the ladies, one for the men, 6 p.m. Pacific time, on Zoom. Go to the website and find out how to set up the program and get the code and the password. We also have children's deliverance services on a regular basis now. Please bring your preteens to be healed. That's also on the website. Sister Karen's on the homepage of the website, ready to list your house for sale. And we also have a water baptism service now. That's also on the homepage of the website. Pastoral suicide. Wow. These things are very confusing, very discouraging, and very painful to A, experience, and B, report on it. Okay? Here's a report coming out of California. Let me read you some of the article here. It says there's nearly $500,000 has been raised after the wife of a California megachurch teaching pastor took her own life last weekend, leaving behind her husband and 5 kids under the age of 6. It happened at North Coast Church in Vista, California. The pastor there is Larry Osborne. The 28-year-old mother of 5 who took her life, Paige Hilken, she's the wife of one of their teaching pastors, Christopher Hilken, and she was suffering from mental illness. I don't want to read the whole article to you, but what had basically happened was she had developed some form of PTSD after her 5th birth. And what happened was that she had extremely fearful thoughts and extremely controlling thoughts. And she had developed a severe anxiety disorder. Nobody could figure out what to do with her. No one knew how to help her, so they sent her to a very famous mental health treatment center in Arizona. The article didn't say which one they sent her to, but it was probably the Meadows in Wickenburg. The Meadows is one of the top 2 or 3 mental health facilities in the entire country. They have an enormously strong reputation, and it costs a lot of money to go there, of course. But celebrities and professional athletes go to the Meadows in Wickenburg. The place is famous in the field I was in, professional counseling. Everybody knows about the Meadows. She went to there, and unfortunately it wasn't enough. She committed suicide after she got home. But the church was devastated. Everybody was crushed. The woman that committed suicide, her name was Paige. I saw pictures of her. Very attractive woman, the pastor, good-looking guy. The kids looked great. It was a kind of a Leave It to Beaver type family photo. And her name was Paige Hilkin, and she was a good athlete. She was at Concordia University at Irvine, California, and she was on the national championship softball team in 2013. And she ministered along with her husband in Vista. But what's interesting, and what I wanted to read to you, was the pastor's sermon after the suicide. He was attempting to do his best to explain what happened and comfort his congregation, but he said several things that were very revealing and very interesting. And I wanted to share it with you because if you are having someone who's contemplating suicide, and by the way, that's not very uncommon anymore, not at all. Suicide ideation is sweeping the country. Pastor Osborne got up to the church and he asked the congregation questions. He said, quote, "How can this be? How can God allow that? How can a Christian leader go through this? What did they do to bring it on themselves?" And he goes on to explain that, quote, "Christians live in a fallen world and fallen things happen to them." And then he said something really interesting. He said he knew personally what she was going through because he suffers from anxiety attacks. He said that his anxiety attacks would happen due to a fear that he might faint on stage while preaching at North Coast Church. He recalled how before he preached, he would have pastors and other members of the church lay hands on him and pray for him in hope that his anxiety attacks would stop occurring. Osborne told the congregation that he had faced the effects of, quote, living in a fallen world, unquote, firsthand because of his mental illness. And he said during that period of time, no matter who prayed for him or how hard he prayed, he continued to have the anxiety attacks. Osborne said he began to wonder what was wrong with his faith and why he couldn't just suck it up and stand on the stage. Eventually, Osborne said he had to take drugs to alleviate his panic attacks, and he was able to get out of his vicious cycle of overthinking. Okay? Now, notice a couple things here. Number one, both of them had the same symptoms, overthinking, and both of them had panic attacks and severe emotional pain. Well, this is exactly how demons work. I've gone over it numerous times over the years on this radio program, explaining how fear demons work. They get into the person's brain, they put fear thoughts and negative thoughts into the person's mind. And if the person received those thoughts, they receive the thoughts and they do not take the thoughts captive, 2 Corinthians chapter 10, the demons then attack the person's soul and they start to get severe emotional pain and they start getting a panic attack, which then attacks the body. The person starts shaking, the person has cramps, they feel strikes of pain in their body, they start sweating, their heart starts racing, their mind starts racing. This is a typical panic attack. Well, later on in his sermon, here's where he really damages his own congregation. Here's where it starts to go really bad. He says to them, the anxiety attacks was the brokenness in him, not due to failure or due to his sin, but it was a chemical imbalance. I'm here as one of your pastors today to tell you I couldn't pray my way out. I couldn't talk my way out. I couldn't get counseling to get a way out because something was broken. Because I'm a sinner living in a sinful world and I suffer brokenness, not even because of my own sin, but because I'm a child of Adam and Eve like everyone else. Unquote. And that was the summation of his sermon, and he was 100% wrong. Everything he told that congregation kept him in bondage, kept the poor wife who murdered herself, she committed suicide. It kept her in bondage. The Meadows in Wickenburg is not a Christian organization, and they don't know anything about demons or fear spirits. And so they could not help her. And even though she went to the top-notch facility, one of the greatest facilities anywhere in the United States, they could not help her because they don't know in Wickenburg and they don't know in their church, this thing is spiritual. I have seen dozens of people, like this poor woman that killed herself, get completely healed. This pastor could be completely healed, but he has to go through deliverance to do it. What happens is when a person is usually young, during trauma events or periods of great disappointment, fear spirits enter the person's body and they go to work on the child and they work on that person the rest of their lives. And they try to take over their mind. They try to take over their emotions. And this demon inside the body tortures them off and on over the years so that they begin to take over the mind with obtrusive, repetitive, and erasing negative thoughts. They attack their sleep and cause sleep deprivation. They attack their dreams, causing night terrors or nightmares. And they take over the person so that they have these panic attacks like this pastor has. And then the demons tell them it's not them, it's a chemical imbalance. I got some chemical imbalance in my head causing all these problems. Of course, none of that is true. Then the demons tell them to get on medication. That does not cure it either. If you know someone who has suicidal, panic attacks, suicide ideation, if you know somebody who's struggling, like this poor pastor's wife, beautiful woman, died for no reason except that her church failed her because they don't have deliverance at that church. This pastor is suffering and will continue to suffer, not because he lives in a fallen world. The fallen world was beaten on the cross of Calvary, not because he has a chemical imbalance. No, that has nothing to do with it. His fear demons from childhood got in, gave him an anxiety disorder, and after deliverance, he will be completely free. If you need to be free, 602-636-5800.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.